Good morning.
It's always a jolt coming back in, isn't it? You know, like, oh. Sure. Yeah, he's here. It is.
It's getting faster.
It is. Well, I can't. If I could reach it, I would change it, but short people problems here.
And happy Tuesday to you all. And welcome to September.
All right.
Yes, absolutely.
Big birthday month.
Yes, it's the birthday month. And happy belated birthday to Commissioner Washington. Y'all give her a round of applause.
Chief Max is tomorrow.
And yes,
Oh, wow.
A bunch of September folks.
Yeah.
Chief Mack is tomorrow. Let's give the Chief a round of applause. All right, September is rolling on into here. Absolutely. We're calling our meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, September the 5th, 2023. It's shortly after the 10 o'clock hour. We're here at the Assembly Hall in 901 Main Street in Old Town Conyers, and we are calling, commissioners, our meeting to order. All right. No special recognitions this morning,
No.
and we'll get right into agenda review.
All right, so September the 12th agenda, and we will start with the regular agenda. Item 418 is CRES, Environmental Services Incorporated. This is through the Emergency Management Agency. This is the on-call unit price hauling and removal in compliance with the Debris Management Plan contract. This is for 1 year with 4 additional 1-year renewal options. I will keep reading until
Yes, ma'am.
there are some comments from the board. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, item 419 is with Monday.com. This is through Technology Services Department to provide licenses for the enterprise plan. It's change order number 1 to contract 2023-92. It's to add 10 more users at an additional $5,148. It's a 1-year plan, and this is host funded. Item 420 is with Kyndryl Incorporated through the Technology Services Department. This is the Enterprise System Services. Change order number 2 to contract 2021-213. It's the reallocation of hours to conduct an internal penetration test at no cost, and the date was December 31st, 2023. Item 421 is with DAF Concrete for the General Services Department. It's a unit price on-call concrete contract, change order number 1 to contract 2020-86 due to a price increase and to extend the term through October 27, 2023. Item 422 is with Snapping Shoals EMC through the General Services Department. This is for GDOT project for the EMA 911 building for the right-of-way easement signature request from Snapping Shoals EMC. Item 423 is with Enterprise Fleet Management through the Fleet Services Division. This is for the fleet replacement plan. This is change order number 9 to contract 2022-164 for 6 vehicles. The amount is $61,918.48 per year. This is host funded and will be submitted for ratification. Item 424 is with Pro Cutters Lawnscapes through the Transportation Department for on-call annual mowing maintenance and right-of-ways. This is an amount not to exceed $500,000 per year. The term is 1 year with 5 additional 1-year renewal options.
So I thought that one was interesting. I had no idea we were spending that much, but I hope our residents appreciate that because, you know, that's a lot of money that we're spending to keep the right-of-ways mowed and cleared.
So, but this is new, this is a new contract, correct? And so is this part of a plan? I mean, this is what, so to me, our residents have been saying they want to see their money. They want to see this county being kept clean, this county, the lawns mowed, the trash picked up, and code enforcement. That's, to me, what they've been saying for at least 2.5 years. So talk to us about this, because this is the first we're seeing this Pro Cutters. I heard that it was coming, but talk to us about the plan, how you're going to utilize Pro Cutters. Is it just going to be in the county right away? Are you going to make sure that the grass is cut off, even in the state right away? Just talk to us, explain, because this is a big deal. This is huge.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Commissioners. Good morning, Chairman. So yes, this is a new concept. This is a new contract, it's just getting set up. This will focus on Rockdale County as a whole, north and south of I-20, and this is going to focus on those main routes. It's not going to tap into, for insurance purposes, GDOT's routes. We have to stay clear of those and coordinate with them. We can't just take those over. But everything else, we're going to work with this group to make this trash, litter, and mowing services on the side of the road.
And I get insurance purposes and whatever, but my problem is when people are going down 138 and they see the grass up, like the other, I haven't been down 138 this week because I've been gone. But the problem is that nobody knows that that's the state of Georgia right away. They think that all they know is that they're in Rockdale County. They don't even know they're in the city. They think that we are supposed to take care of it. And that's the worst. That grass was high the last time I went down it. Like, so is there are we doing anything to help that image of Rockdale County? Because we can sit here all day and say that's not our problem, it's insurance problems, but what are we doing to rectify the problem of grass being as high as it was the last time I went down 138? Because, like I said, nobody is looking at anybody else to solve that problem except for us.
So, Director Kelly, let me just chime in. What Commissioner Washington is saying is absolutely correct. She bring up several valid points about the amount of rain we've had this year, this summer. It's been a lot of rain this summer. There's several pieces to this puzzle, Commissioner, and I hope, as you stated, that citizens are watching and listening, because I'm going to take a moment and try to educate them. So you're right. State Route Highway 138 is a state road. It's maintained by the Georgia Department of Transportation. However, it runs through both the city of Conyers and Rockdale County, particularly the northern part of State Route 138 that runs through the county. A portion of it runs in this city because as you move toward the horse park, that area of 138 goes back into the city. Nevertheless, citizens don't differentiate between the city and the county. They just want it cleaned up. Yes, ma'am, it has been mowed. In fact, if you go out there today, you'll see it's been freshly mowed. They just did it in the last week or so. And because we had a direct conversation with the contractors who work on behalf of the Georgia Department of Transportation, who happens to be a Rockdale resident that owns the company. So he has an vested interest in making sure that Rockdale looks really, really good, although the contract comes from the state of Georgia. He said to me, he says, Chairman, I've had to do the same thing with rescheduling our teams due to the inclement weather or the amount of rain that we've experienced. In addition to the rain, they dispatched about 30 people out there about 2 weeks ago to police and pick up the trash and debris before they cut. Because you know what happens if they cut with all the trash. The mower just blows all the trash all over the roadway. This contract that is on our agenda right now is, to your point, the response to the citizens. We don't want to put everything on COVID, but the truth of it is we had some shifts in our personnel as a result of COVID, and our code enforcement team, as well as our community improvement team, we lost personnel. The ability to cover the entire county has tremendously shifted. The increase of the rain, the increase of the summer activity, and it seems like more people littering, we had to really think outside the box. Pro Cutters are contracted with the state of Georgia. They are also contracted with the city of Conyers. They use them as well. Now we're contracting them to make sure that we're covering those primary roads and the outermost parts of Rockdale County, while our community improvement team and code enforcement are primarily focusing on what we call the surface streets within the county. When you think about Highway 138, you think about State Route 20 and State Route 162, which is Salem Road. Those are state routes, and the contract with Pro Cutters is with GDOT. Now, the beauty of it is, again, the owner of Pro Cutters is a Rockdale resident, and I might say a very active Rockdale resident who we have access to. We're able to call him, and he interacts with our teams on a regular basis. And because of this crazy weather pattern we've had this summer, there's been kind of a zigzag approach to addressing it. So to the citizens of Rockdale County, although State Route 138, State Route Highway 20, and State Route 162, as well as State Route 212 on the southern district of Rockdale County, are all state routes under the jurisdiction of the Georgia Department of Transportation. And although they are, we still respond to the calls. Because I understand when a citizen asks you about something on Pine Log Road or 138 or Highway 20, they're not taking the time to figure out whether it's in the city, the county, or the state right away. They just want it cleaned up. So our teams have been educated to respond accordingly. Commissioners, I will tell you that this contract is a hefty contract. But due to the amount of work and the amount of area in order to bring the standard, we do the war on litter in the spring and in the fall. We've got one coming up this fall. It's not enough. We've erected signs in some of our high dumping areas of the county asking folks and reminding people not to litter and dump. And we also post what the fine is in the event that you do. But this will help get us where we need to get to. The understanding that this is going to be, if not a 9-month, I think it's going to be a 12-month review And after the 9 or 12-month review to see how things are moving throughout the county, we will make a decision to go forward from that point. But the plus is the owner of the company lives in the county. The plus is we have a robust relationship to make sure we support our efforts that are already happening here with our community improvement. And I'll tell you straight from the chairman's office that we've met with Director Njoku and her team that oversees the community improvement team, and we've been very direct with them about the need to step it up and increase our efforts, because we cannot support having this team as well as being able to contract at this level for an extended period of time. We need the help right now. We're going to see what it does. Commissioner Washington, I really appreciate your comments, because not only have you received these calls, so has Commissioner Williams and myself in terms of the litter throughout Rockdale County. And even folks, when we do the campaign in the springtime, War on Litter, and the upcoming one here in October on the War on Litter, those are just 2 days out of the year that we're highlighting. The War on Litter is happening every day. We're out there cleaning it up every day and on the weekends. I wish that I could stand with a big sign in front of the apartment complex there on Sigmund Road, and just, if the sign, Director Mims, could just say, please dispose of your household waste. Take it off the hood of your car. Don't let it roll out in the street. I can't tell you how many times Corey Brown and company have gone out to Sigmund Road and picked it up day after day after day after day. The War on Litter is happening. This contract will support our efforts, and I'm asking that the Board of Commissioners will strongly consider this. But yes, let's take the time to continue to educate our folks about why we're doing what we're doing, because people want to know where the money is going. This is where the money is going.
Well, and I think it's interesting too, if you look around the country and look at the communities where people really, value where they live, there's not litter.
Well, let's say it again. I was in Williamsburg, I think that's the name of
Virginia?
it, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And the most impressive thing, the people walking around in colonial clothing, and there's debates between Thomas Jefferson and George Washington, but the most impressive thing about that county, so Williamsburg is like a city county, it's everything all at once, but the most impressive thing is that there was no trash, absolutely no trash anywhere on the ground. They had trash cans all throughout the place. It was walkable. They had a bus that went through the city, but it was immaculately clean. It was so clean that I saw somebody drop something, somebody else came and picked it up and gave it to them. Somebody else came and picked up that person's and gave it to them because they value being clean.
Right.
So it can be done. We just got to figure out how to get there.
Well, you're right, Commissioner. Having a sense of pride about the community and the county that you live in is everybody's responsibility. Earlier this year, our PR team, along with our Chief of Staff's office, Ms. Jessica Polite, we were over in the Country Walk subdivision where we launched a program called Love Where You Live. And people having a sense of pride about their community. She's absolutely right. Think about your own front yard or your own community, or subdivision, or neighborhood. You want it to be clean. When we allow the litter, the blight, and all of those things to take place, the property values goes down. Absolutely. I remember being a kid, and I remember having a gentleman in our neighborhood that didn't play the radio about his grass. He didn't want you walking on his grass. He would have a fit. This is an older gentleman, but now I think I'm about to turn into that guy because I'm the same way. Every time Amazon or UPS delivers something, I don't understand why they can't, Ms. Thompson, I don't understand why they can't walk through the driveway and then walk up the walkway. They cut right across my lawn that I have to spend a lot of money to get manicured and taken care of. I'm having a fit. But I can't do anything because I'm looking at it on my camera, and I'm like, man, I need to find me a sign to put out there, Director Hammer, that says, "Don't walk on grass." But I get it, and you're absolutely right. Having that sense of pride is everybody's business, and we've just got to continue to work at it.
So I'm sorry. This is the first I'm really looking at this contract and this, I guess it's 195 miles is what they're gonna, and it looks like once a month, they're gonna be on each one of these roads
That's the cycle, yes.
as a cycle. And then, they're also gonna pick up roadside litter on these particular roads once a month. And then, can we get, though, I would like to see the schedule, like, are you gonna be here on Wednesdays? So people will know, because I think these people would like to know on Urban Bridge Road, you know, when they can expect these people to be there and see them on a regular basis. This is great. I mean, this is like the beginning of what I think the citizens have been saying. And so this needs to be promoted. This needs to be just applauded, because I think this is, once we get this in place and some more aggressive trash pickup, like, then we will be cooking with gas.
So, Director
There's
Kelly,
more to
let's
come with this
get the
program.
commissioner a schedule. I do want to say this about the schedule, and thinking from a personnel management and a community weather management, we don't control Mother Nature.
Of course not.
There is a schedule. However, due to rain and the inclement weather, keep in mind the crews will work around the weather, because they could be scheduled to come out next week. But if the forecast is calling for a certain amount of rain, they've got to wait until that passes by and then get back out there. So I agree. Let's get a schedule and share that with the entire BOC. I think there's some possibility, a way to get this put on our website to talk about what we're doing in this regard. I think it would benefit the citizens to know. But I also think in putting it on the website, again, find a nice, polished, cleaned up way to talk about the fact that we will work around the weather and some of the inclement weather that may come during that time. Don't hold us to the schedule, because it may rain tomorrow.
Right, and I think I think that our citizens are understanding of situations. They just want to see that, like you said, pride in place, that we are taking care of and doing the most important thing that they've asked us to do, which is keep this community clean and safe. And clean goes with safety, and cleanliness go together.
Yes, they do. Thank you so much, Commissioner. Thank you, Director Kelly.
Thank you.
Thank you. All
All
right.
right.
It's a
Item
good conversation on that one. I'm going to just interrupt again, Executive Director, for a second. Director Mims, do you have the wall litter? Okay, you'll have it ready for me. I want to show that before we leave, because I think in support of what Commissioner Washington just pointed out, that would be something very good. Okay, Executive Director Rutledge, we're back on schedule.
All right, thank you. Item 425 is with RDJE through the Water Resources Department. This is for the River Street Water Main Replacement Emergency. This is change order number 1 to contract 2023-48. The amount is $1,057,306. This is submitted for ratification. Item 426 is a requisition through the General Services Department for Laz and Associates. This is for pew replacements in the Superior Courtroom, Chief Judge Mumford. The amount is $58,286, and this is host funded.
So are we replacing all the pews in his courtroom?
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Quick answer is yes. In Judge Mumford's courtroom, we're replacing all of the very old and very broken pews and very scratched up ones with new pews. That's correct.
But are they going to look like the old ones?
We're going to match a similar style, and
There
Judge
you go.
Mumford Judge Mumford, as you know, is very concerned, as are we, and has definitely emphasized getting something that matches the period of the courtroom style as well. Yes.
Okay, because we don't want to change that.
Yes.
I think that was sarcasm.
Well,
No, that wasn't sarcasm.
really? Oh, okay.
let's talk about that for a minute, Commissioner, because
If you've got this historic courtroom,
Right.
you don't want new-looking pews. You want it to look historic.
Okay, I'm with you.
she don't want to debate on that. But I think there is a point that both commissioners are making about when we renovate the facility, but also holding on to the heritage and the history, some of the vintage, or should I say nostalgic look of the original courthouse, which has made Rockdale famous and Old Town famous for in so many ways. I see Ms. Being nod her head because she's engaged with the film and movie industry many, many times about that facility. I believe in holding the heritage. I said to Director Hammer and to Chief Sanders in reference to the stained glass windows that are around the auditorium next door. We've done some work to preserve those windows because when we move into the new facility, we're going to have those windows a part of the new. It's going to preserve the heritage and the history of what the church meant and the time gone by as we reflect on this new direction of reimagining Rockdale. And can you imagine the sun ray hitting those beautiful stained glass windows, perhaps as you walk to your office and down the hall to conduct business in the new facility? As we look towards the future, we'll be able to reflect with a beautiful sun ray on the past. That's reimagining Rockdale right there. So you got a point. I think you can get it's kind of like what we're doing out at Costler Mill. We've done a lot of upgrades, but when you walk out there and you move around, you see the rustic old building and structure still looking for most of our homes and facilities out there. We don't want to get rid of that. But when you walk into one of those facilities, you see the new amenities and the upgrades that really takes you to a different level. So a little of a blend of the old and the new.
I have a finance question, though. The fact that we have allocated 100% of host to property taxes for, I guess, next year or this year, are these things that are host funded? Does that mean that we won't be able to have host funded expenditures?
This is for fiscal year '23, so this was budgeted for FY '23. The capital projects, since 100% of the host was allocated to the taxpayers as a credit for their for their tax bills, but that will be in our FY '24 budget.
So, right, but what I'm asking is for FY '24, we won't be able to do any of the capital projects that we had allocated for host.
Not
Is
with
that-
host funding.
Okay, that's what, I'm just making sure. And I want the citizens to understand.
Yes. Because 100% was allocated towards the taxpayers, there's not the 20% that we would like to put towards capital projects. So
Okay.
this year, 100% did go as a credit towards the citizens' tax bills.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good question, Commissioner. Next item, please.
Okay, item 427 is an expenditure request through GTS for the Tax Commissioner's Office. This is for the June 2023 delinquent notice fees for the Technical Services Agreement. The amount is $23,572.60. The next item is 428. It's a request for surplus of equipment through the Sheriff's Office. Item 429 is a change in conditions case 2023-01, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended by rezoning property located at 1076 Honey Creek Road Southeast, Conyers, Georgia 30013 from RM Multifamily Zoning District to the RM Multifamily Zoning District to impose conditions upon the amendment, to repeal conflicting ordinances, and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a second reading next Tuesday. Item 430 is future land use case 2023-01, an ordinance to amend the future land use map of Rockdale County, Georgia's comprehensive plan as amended. so as to redesignate property located at 1816 Parker Road from the commercial future land use category to the high-density future land use category, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a second reading next Tuesday. Item 431 is rezoning case 2023-08, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended by rezoning 1816 Parker Road from C2 General Commercial District to RM Residential Multifamily District, to impose conditions upon the property, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a second reading next Tuesday. Item 432 is future land use case 2023-02, an ordinance to amend the future land use map of Rockdale County, Georgia's comprehensive plan as amended so as to redesignate property located at Northwest Ebenezer and 0 Highway 138 from the office institutional future land use category to the high-density future land use category, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a second reading next Tuesday. Item 433 is rezoning case 2023-09, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended by rezoning Northwest Ebenezer and 0 Highway 138 from AR Agricultural Residential District to MRU Mixed Residential Use District, to impose conditions upon the property, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a second reading next Tuesday. Item 434 is rezoning case 2023-07, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended by rezoning 1952 Old Covington Highway from R1 Single Family Residential District to M1 Limited Industrial, to impose conditions upon the property, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a second reading next Tuesday. Item 435 is a special use permit case 2023-01, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County as amended to authorize a special use permit for a 200-foot AGL monopole communication tower and related telecommunication facilities at 2400 Southwest Tucker Mill Road, Conyers 30012, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a second reading next Tuesday. Item 436 is text amendment case 2023-03, an ordinance to amend the text of section 218-1, the table of permitted uses of the Unified Development Ordinance of Rockdale County as amended, adding beer, wine, and liquor stores to the MXD, Mixed Use Development Zoning District, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a second reading next Tuesday. Item 437 is text amendment case 2023-04, an ordinance to amend the text of section 218-1, table of permitted uses, and section 218-13, the standards of use and development of the Unified Development Ordinance of Rockdale County as amended, adding mineral extraction, dimensional stone to the AR agricultural residential zoning districts, and establishing supplemental regulations related thereto, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a second reading next Tuesday. Item 438 is a change in conditions case 2023-02, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended by rezoning property located at 1610 Old Salem Road, Southeast, Conyers, Georgia 30013, from RM Multifamily Zoning District to the RM Multifamily Zoning District, to impose conditions upon the amendment, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a first reading next Tuesday. Item 439 is a change in conditions case 2023-03, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended by rezoning property located at 2294 Iris Drive Southwest, Conyers, Georgia 30094, from the RM Multifamily Zoning District to the RM Multifamily Zoning District, to impose conditions upon the amendment, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a first reading next Tuesday. Item 440 is a future land use case 2023-03, An ordinance to amend the future land use map of Rockdale County, Georgia's comprehensive plan as amended so as to redesignated property located at 1726 and 1830 Farmer Road Northwest from medium residential density future land use category to technology park future land use category, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a first reading next Tuesday. Item 441 is rezoning case 2023-12, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended by rezoning 1726 and 1830 Farmer Road Northwest from R1 Single Family Residential District to O&I Office Institutional District, to impose conditions upon the property, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a first reading next Tuesday. Item 442 is rezoning case 2023-13, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County, Georgia as amended by rezoning 2265 Zangara Road Northeast from R1 Single Family Residential District to AR Agricultural Residential District, to impose conditions upon the property, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a first reading next Tuesday. Item 443 is a special use permit case 2023-03, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County as amended to authorize a special use permit for mineral extraction dimensional stone at 2265 Zangara Road Northeast, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a first reading next Tuesday. Item 444 is special use permit case 2023-05, an ordinance to amend the official zoning district map of Rockdale County as amended to authorize a special use permit for electrical substation at 1726 and 1830 Farmer Road Northwest, to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes. This will be submitted for a first reading next Tuesday. Item 445 is with Georgia Power for a governmental encroachment agreement for an easement of Farmer Road and Front Hill Drive connector through the Transportation Department. This is SPLOST funded. Item 446 is an account agreement for signature cards through United Community Bank through the Finance Department. This is submitted for ratification. Item 447 is a quitclaim deed through the Board of Commissioners Office for Ladd Gray / county property. This is a portion of Lot 5 in the Mountain Valley Estates subdivision. Item 448 are amendments to the Rockdale County Employee Classification and Pay Plan submitted through the Talent Management Department. Item 449 is a resolution to authorize the submission of an application to the Georgia Department of Natural Resources for funding pursuant to the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Act for the Rockdale County Stanford Park project and letter of transmittal. And item 450 is a resolution to authorize the submission of an application to the Georgia Department of Natural Resources for funding pursuant to the Georgia DNR Recreational Trails Program for the Rockdale County Costly Mill Trail and the letter of transmittal.
Outstanding. All right. So, Commissioners, we have completed our review of the agenda for next week's meeting, and we're going to move now to public comment.
Public comment. I have not received any red cards of,
Any public comment?
all right?
Okay, September.
On vacation.
We will move right to the board comments, and we'll start with Commissioner Washington.
Well, I'm still on vacation. We just got back in. Great birthday weekend with family, holiday. But I also would like to congratulate Parks and Rec for their amazing, not only summer, fourth segment of the former summer concert series, but also the wind down. Did we do that before the last time? Oh, I'm still there. I'm still there. We had a good time. And of course, Miss Bing always does a good job with that. Once again, I am very excited about this Pro Cutters contract. Like you said, the owner is very involved in Rockdale County. And I know it's gonna make a huge difference in the way, in getting started with combating this war on litter and the aesthetics of the community, and I'm super excited about that. That's really all I have until, of course, Dr. Williams reminds me of something else.
I don't have anything this morning.
Oh, we're ready. This might be Oz's his record.
It's up to him.
Right.
No pressure.
Thank you for reminding me. No, but certainly, I do want to entertain a couple of updates, and I do want to start with Ms. Bing. Come on up, Ms. Bing, and talk to us about, come on up, Ms. Bing, and talk with you. I thought you were moving. Well, you don't come to these meetings several times. Once I call your name, you should have been at the, anyway, we have company. So, Ms. Bing, tell us about what's coming up as we bring our summer concert series to a close. Give us the date, and are you having any more Friday wind downs?
We actually have concluded our Friday wind downs for this season. Friday wind downs will start back next year during the spring, early summer, and we'll have more dates to come. Currently, we are preparing for our final summer concert series, which is going to be hosted on Sunday, September 24th from 5 to 7 p.m. So that will be our final concert series. Miss Erica Dawson, she's a great artist out of Atlanta. She will be performing, so make sure you come to the last concert. We actually are also preparing for our Autumn Festival. I don't have all of the details in regards to the date and the vendors. We're still confirming, so we will have our Autumn Festival in November.
Now, the Autumn Festival, does that take place at Costley or Johnson?
We're going to actually have it at Parker Road like we did last year.
Parker Road
Yes.
this year?
This year.
Okay, all right, very good.
Oh, this with the cars?
Yes, with the car show.
Oh, yes, that was a big hit
That
last
was
year.
last year, so
Yeah,
we're
that
gonna
was a
do
big
that
hit.
again in
Okay,
November.
Okay, I guess the name of it threw me off. Autumn Festival.
Yes,
Oh,
well,
okay.
last year was Autumn Fall Festival, but with it being the same name, we're just gonna just say Autumn Festival,
Right.
so it's
Yeah,
the
Autumn
same.
and fall is the same thing, that's right. I
Yes.
Yeah, y'all, that's right, you tweaked it, made it make sense, okay.
Yes.
That was a big hit last year, and the parking and having it centrally located there on Parker Road was a big plus.
Absolutely.
And you don't have the date of that?
No, not yet, we're still finalizing vendors, so we'll have that information out to
Okay.
everyone soon.
All right. Is there anything else we need to know in reference to Parks and Recreation?
Not at this time, we're just working behind the scenes and trying to stay afloat with all of our events for our citizens.
Ms. Bing, is it still clear that the rentals out at Costley are really picked up?
Yes, the rentals at the event center is almost like we need a receptionist just to answer the phones to state that we are
Well, you're
booked.
not supposed to ask for personnel while you're up here. I was just asking
Well,
about the
I
increase.
wasn't
I
alluding
think
to that, but you asked the
Y'all
question.
give Ms. Bing a round of applause. Go ahead and have a seat. Go ahead.
And this is why she was Employee of the Month.
It took her a while to get to the podium, and then when she gets up there, she just throw a little bit of this and a little bit of everything.
Make sure she's advocated
Absolutely.
for it. Good job, Ms. Bing.
Don't help her. No, but seriously, we do appreciate Ms. Bing and all of what Parks and Rec has done. And the citizens have really enjoyed the summer concert series this year. And as she mentioned, we have one more coming up at the end of this month on September 24th. We encourage folks to get out there and get there early. The Friday wind down was a big hit, and we've closed it out, so there's no more of those for this calendar year, but that has been a big deal. And it is really refreshing to know that people are utilizing the Costley Mill Event Center. So if you're thinking about a date, we encourage you to go ahead and call, because the date that you may be thinking about may already be booked and reserved. So we encourage you to go ahead and reach out to the folks out at Costley Mill. And we'll be sitting on the edge of our seats waiting for the date and the details on the Autumn Festival that's coming up out on Parker Road. Director Njoko, you've got so much going on in the Department of Planning and Development. Give us an update. We hadn't heard much from you since you've been on board, but you've been busy working, you and Deputy Director Wheeler. Tell us what we don't know.
Thank you so much for your time. Good morning, Commissioners. Some of the things that we're really excited about is we're starting, or actually we're getting to the point of October, which will bring about our comp plan. Our comp plan is going to give us the foundation work, and we've also, thanks to the commissioner's support, signed on a consulting company that will be also layering that with an infrastructure plan. One of the things that we've heard very clearly from the citizens' body is they're concerned about the infrastructure, which leads to our development plan and what we can do with housing. Knowing exactly what kind of infrastructure, water, sewer, roads, land use will be able to allow us to be able to actually really put the actionable side to the Reimagine Rockdale mission that we all have and we share. As the chairman also indicated, with our code enforcement, we're pretty excited about partnering with transportation to be working on the war on litter, to also be working on the beautification of Rockdale County moving forward. Strategically, we're looking at the plan overall, what we're going to be doing in the larger county with the addition of the new contract, what we're going to be doing with our current staff that are fully aware of all the dumping sites, all the areas that need immediate attentions, and where they'll be able to put and concentrate their efforts with our code enforcement. We're really excited about what we plan to do in the upcoming months, looking at both of those plans and layering it, and really are looking forward to reporting back to this commission, to the citizen body, exactly what we're looking at as a county overall, our new comp plan, our new infrastructure, what we're going to be doing for master planning, how we're going to actually come up with something that's implementable for our citizens and things that they can get excited about. Building the excitement for Rockdale County starts with giving people tangible things that they can look forward to. We don't want to just sell them a vision. We want to give them a plan of the steps of what they can look forward to as Rockdale County continues to grow. We're a county that definitely is on the verge of the 100,000 mark. Rockdale 100 is a super exciting thing for us, and we want to be well prepared for that. So those are some key highlights that we have. We have more to offer you in the months ahead, but just to want to give you a little bit of what we're doing out of planning and development.
Thank you so much. We appreciate this update coming from planning and development. You all are busier than I've ever seen it in a long time. Your office is really, a lot of folks come. I was just over there the other day, and you had a line of people, a crowd in the lobby, interested in doing business with the county. So keep up the good work, and we'll be tapping back into you again for another update. I want to call up
Thank you.
Deputy Director Davis from Rockdale Water Resources. We talked about the importance of educating our citizens. We hear so much about infrastructure and infrastructure upgrades. Deputy Director Davis, who's in charge of infrastructure for Rockdale Water Resources, what do you have for us?
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Chairman. Can I just give you an update on River Street? I remember a couple BOC meetings, you wanted to see a coupon of the type of pipe that we're going to be exchanging with. And at River Street, over the course of, I say, history in River Street, they have multitudes of breaks. And then having that, your pipe, if you don't fix it correctly or you undermine the pipe and that, you see that break there, that's not because of a water main break, it's because the pipe was undermined and it caused the road to cave in. And we found the culprit behind that, which was the pipe itself. And I wanted to, share with you all the difference between PVC pipe and duct iron pipe. And duct iron pipe actually going to replace the PVC pipe that they had in there for years.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
A little bit of show and tell. All right. Okay.
This is a piece of Schedule 40, which is actually in the street now, but I think it's a Schedule 35. This is a little better pipe that they had and put back in the 1950s. But this is Schedule 40, which is durable, but it might give you 30 years plus. But the pipe that we're going to replace this with is not only we're going to replace the main, replacing fire hydrants, valves, and service lines. We're going to replace over 2,000 linear feet with the pipe that I'm going to show you now, which is the duct iron pipe. As you can see.
Well, now take your time.
You are killing me. Stop.
You want me to hold that one?
I'm going to put it back.
Whoa.
And Chairman, we're going to replace over 1950 linear feet of 8-inch ductile pipe and 30-inch, 6-inch, I'm sorry, about 30 linear feet with this pipe here.
Okay, all right, stay with me, because first of all, this is really good. This education piece is good. This remind me, Dr. Williams, Commissioner Washington, of show and tell. So let's go back to the white PVC pipe.
Schedule 40 PVC.
Schedule
40
Schedule
PVC.
40, that's right. You're gonna have us all educated this morning. Schedule 40 is what is currently in the ground and has been there for quite some time,
I mean, over a few decades.
over several decades.
Yes.
Okay?
And it's actually sitting on granite rock, which
Okay.
is not really good. And back in those days, they actually, instead of sleeving, they'll sleeve a piece in, but it will be glued. And you're talking about a pressurized line. Really, you're supposed to change it out because that glue will wear out over
Right, heat
time.
and weather and
Yeah,
conditions.
because you can't, I think it was Schedule 35 that they used back in the 40s. And when they sleeve the piece in, it's just glue. And you're talking about a pressurized water main, it's gonna move. And sitting on granite rock, which is not that, it wasn't that deep, it's just gonna, this is what you're gonna get.
So that's no longer industry standards.
Yep.
And Deputy Director Jameson, what's your guesstimated weight of that? Be careful now. Got one behind you and one in front of you. I don't want no injuries this week.
But we got Marion over here.
That's probably about 30 to 50 pounds.
Okay,
It's
so,
just this little coupon. And we're gonna replace it,
What's that made of?
duct iron. And inside here, when they create this pipe, they use a cemented molding, and which they actually, when they get the mold, they put it in a fire full of iron. You get 1.5 inches, and based on the size of the pipe, it's going to be that much thicker.
is that a steel pipe is what the commissioner
all
was
steel,
asking?
all steel.
All steel, that's made of steel, okay. Now, so the lifespan of that,
50 plus. I mean,
Yeah, okay.
I hate to say this, but we all will be gone by the time that go
Okay.
bad.
okay, speak for yourself. Speak for yourself. What happens when y'all come up here and you do that all the time about we all will be going, just say if you're gonna be gone, just say you're gonna be gone. You don't know when we gonna leave. So, but just say it's gonna be around for a long time and we leave it to that.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. No, but seriously, Commissioner, this is great education. And Commissioner Washington, you were about to ask a question from the Deputy Director. So this kind of education, when you bring in, I really appreciate him bringing in
Absolutely, because you could tell us about it,
all day long.
but to see it is a different thing.
And
Makes
all
a big
the fittings going to be duct iron as well.
So now the question coming from the citizens in Millstead who are watching this broadcast, when is it going to happen?
September 18th, and it should conclude in the middle of December.
All right.
And we got 2 phases. This first phase is actually repair of the water main. Like I said, we're going to repair over 2,000 linear feet. The second phase is going to be RDOT, and I get Director Kelly to explain that to you, but it's 2 phases to this. The first phase is just to get this water main, get the service lines, the fire hydrants, get everything back in place, and then Director Kelly is going to tell you about the road.
So this is a two-part job, and what you've seen here, and he's eloquently explained, is those seepage from that glue, it takes that soil and slowly erodes that away. And that's where you see at exactly where the pipe is sitting, it's gone. So there's nothing to hold it. So now we have a road, we're gonna take everything out. So we're gonna have fresh fill, and then there is rock underneath there, and it's really hard to build on rock. So we need to get rid of some of that and lower the rock enough to give us cover for this brand new road. So there will be some excavation of that rock, and we're gonna coordinate to make sure we widen it enough to put the road back down. So that way, once we come back in, we'll have a road that is 24 feet, 22, 24 feet, enough for 2 lanes, and thick enough, and it'll have good support soil. So there should not be any other issues when we come
So is
back.
that on that December timeline, the road?
So we have to let
repair?
him get his work done first,
Okay.
and we'll come in.
So the water
as soon-
stuff
right-
will
right
take
after.
till December, and then you'll come in.
Yeah.
I tell you, this is great teamwork, and we certainly appreciate the coordination and the collaboration of the two departments. Gentlemen, y'all can take a seat. Thank you so much. I do want to give a big shout out to the residents over in the Millstead community. And as I do that, I want to remind the board that the Millstead community, the old mill, the old Callaway Mill, this community was founded in 1902. A big shout out to Miss Carly Miller and to Miss Sandy Pate, two of our residents who constantly stay in contact with us about any and everything that's going on. I did receive a text message from Miss Miller. She was delighted to talk to Director Peak, and she was delighted to get information from Director Kelly about how they are going to work as a team. She said to me, Director Morgan, she said, this is helpful. She said, because I need to understand that the water department is going to do their due diligence first. Then the road department, RDOT, will come back in and work immediately thereafter to get it done. And she talked about, Commissioner Washington, that this had never been done to this degree, and basically the communication piece. I tell you, whenever we slow down and take the moment to communicate with our residents, our citizens, our taxpayers, and explain to them, I like to see as many of the directors come in here with a show and tell to help folks to understand exactly where the money is going, why the money is being spent, and exactly what we're doing. Just showing those two different materials of piping, the PVC pipe from way back in the day, and now this new industry standard that will be here long after Deputy Director Davis is gone. It's very important that we educate people about what's happening. This is really, really good, and I certainly do appreciate that. I got to call up real quick Director Morgan to give us an update in terms of what's going on with EMA, and talked about how she will be prepared as we move into this new season.
Thank you, Chairman. And this new season is hurricane season. So there's already been a couple. Georgia avoided, in the central and north Georgia avoided one that hit the south and the coast kind of hard. There's a couple more out there. What I need to have the citizens do is, if we have a high windstorm related to the remnants of one of these hurricanes, are you prepared to be without power for a while, to be self-sustained at home for a while if power's out at grocery stores and gas stations? So essentially, how would you survive the first 72 hours and be self-sufficient? That is extremely important for anything, flood, tornado, but right now we're in hurricane season. That's when people just take stock and be aware. If you need more information about how you can help be prepared for yourself and your family, please call Rockdale County EMA at 770-278-8405 is our main office number, and we have flyers. We can come talk to you. We'll be glad to help you get prepared, because a prepared citizenry is a safe citizenry.
Isn't there a website?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
ReadyGeorgia.gov.
That's what it is. And
Ready
it's an
Georgia.
is it still an app?
It's also an app as
Yeah.
well, with little checklist and things you can do. It's very interactive. That is by GEMA, the state agency, who we work with and report to. But yes, there's plenty of resources out there. If you feel like you don't know what to do, contact that same phone number again, 770-278-8405, and we will either put it in your hand or get you in touch with somebody or get you in touch with an app that'll help you get prepared.
Outstanding.
Thank you, sir.
Outstanding. Thank you so much, Deputy Director Mallory Thompson. Come on up. Would you talk about the vacancies that we currently still have in our Department of Talent Management and some of the things that are happening there, because we still have a few vacancies throughout the county. And this is part of our daily challenge to make sure that we fill those gaps so that we can continue to bring the level of quality customer service delivery to all of our citizens. Ms. Mallory Thompson, how are you this morning?
Doing well. How are you all? Good morning. So right now, I know our recruitment manager, Claudette Rancifer, she is getting some things together for the vacancies, and she's working closely with our recruitment specialist, Maria White, as well. So currently, they're still doing their recruitment, going out to job fairs. They've been to a couple of those recently as well. But with some of the things that we've been adding, I'll have additional updates later on for those.
Very good. And now, when folks who are interested in employment, what's the best contact number, Ms.
Yes.
Thompson?
770-278-7575. And that's our main number.
Okay, give us that number slow. Somebody's writing it down and taking note of this, because they've got somebody they know that need a job. So give us that number real slow again, so they can write it down and they can call that number.
770-278-7575.
And my last question is, when you think about the areas of vacancies throughout the county the most, what department or what area should you say have most of the vacancies currently?
So my last follow-up, that was the sheriff's office.
Sheriff's
has a lot
office,
of those.
okay.
But additional updates will come soon.
Okay, very good. You know anything about that want to be a sheriff's deputy or a detention deputy, Director Simpkins? You know anybody, just let us know and tell them to contact the Department of Talent Management. They might want to holler at the sheriff as well. Okay, all right, very good. Ms. Thompson, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, very good. I think we have that video ready for War on Litter. I want to see it, and I think this will serve to remind folks a little bit of what we were talking about, Director Njoku, in terms of the continued effort to keep the county clean as we move into this contract agreement with Pro Cutters. You know this is the war. Can you say war on litter? Come on, say it like you mean it. War on litter.
We are out here about to attack this war on litter. We're gonna, all the different departments, we probably have about 10 departments have shown up to converge on Rockdale County, right? To hit our right-of-ways and our streets and pick up all this litter and illegal dumping and anything else.
This is our largest contingency of employees and volunteers this year ever. We got nearly 200 people out today with the war on litter. I think it's a good look for leadership every now and then to be out here with your people. You have to inspect what you expect, and you have to lead by example. So I'm not going to ask anybody that works for Rockdale County government to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. And the beauty of Rockdale County, you have a chairman who wears two hats. I serve as the chairman and the CEO, the manager of day-to-day operations. This allows me to deal with all of the corporate issues of Rockdale County, and it also allows me to deal with all the hands-on, tangible, touchable issues in terms of talking to citizens, going where the issues are, being out on the ground, in the trenches with the employees. So as we prepare to move into our next upcoming date, which is in October, we're asking Director Mims that Public Relations will increase the programming of this particular video so that folks will be alerted to, and we will add the new date of the new event. I also want to step out a little bit, Commissioners, as we talk about this war on litter, Director Njoku, and talk about the number of churches and local school people and nonprofits. If they want to be a part of getting out there with us, particularly when it comes to community service, we'll be delighted to submit a letter on behalf of any young person who's planning on transitioning to college after high school and they need some community service time. I always disappoint some of those parents who end up calling me and their child ain't never picked up or served anything, but they want me to write a letter telling a lie. I don't do that. So if they're serving, if they're going to give back and they're giving back, we will certainly submit a letter. We've done countless numbers of letters out of our offices for young people to have those letters to go as they're making their way to college. But this is an opportunity. I think there's a waiver of some type that has to be signed for folks on a certain age in order to participate. But to all of the fraternities, sororities, and churches, and high schoolers, and college kids, and anybody else out there with blue T-shirts or red T-shirts or whatever color T-shirts you have, if you want to come out and help pick up debris and trash during our war on litter, you are welcome according to our guidelines. I have to say it that way because I know there's some particular guidelines for safety reasons that things that we can and cannot do. But this is an ongoing effort as relate to the war on litter. Director Njoku, you sitting on the edge of your seat. You got something else you want to add? I can just see it in your eyes.
Chairman, I just wanted to add that to the citizen bodies that are interested in volunteering, we do have guidelines. We wanted to make sure that everybody is safe, right? So young adults, if you're interested in having this be your community service opportunity, please reach out to our code enforcement offices early. Get on a list so that we can aptly put you in the right group and the right area so you can be safe and have the deepest impact. Community organizations, if you're interested, please reach out to my department or code enforcement early so that we make sure that you have the right amount of teams, that you cover the right amount of time, and you're able to do the right amount of work. And since the chairman and myself and anybody else has volunteered to also do letters there afterwards, the sooner you get on our teams, the sooner we hear from you, the sooner we put you in a group, the sooner that we can talk about all the different things that can come out as the positive aspects for serving your county. So I just wanted to say we have guidelines. Please reach out to us early and definitely make sure that you take the pride in the county that you live in.
Oh, thank you for cleaning that up. Thank you so much. Yes, you clean that up just like the wall on litter. Absolutely, very good. So, commissioners, as we bring our meeting to a close, right before we do that, I do want to bring back to both of you attention. We've been talking in our community as a whole for quite some time about the issue of homelessness. The city of Conyers, Rockdale County, even our local school system is impacted because there are a good number of families and young people, children, who are living in extended stay hotels, and those are classified as homeless individuals. For many, many years, this community has been talking about what are we going to do and how we're going to address it. Well, it's time to stop talking. It's time to really address this issue. As we see the rise in terms of the housing crisis that has hit this country like a wave, Rockdale County and the city of Conyers is not exempt. More and more, we're seeing as we go shopping, as we move throughout the county, more and more people, homeless people, are being identified and are surfacing in our community. The question is, what are we going to do about it? It's time to stop talking. I've got a little video to share with you here, but I'm engaged with Mayor Evans as well as Dr. Oates, the school superintendent for Rockdale County Public Schools, and the three of us are working in concert to put together a homeless task force. And this video will tell you a little bit about it, and as we'll watch it and then we'll come back with some more. So there's a housing crisis that's making its way all across the United States, and that certainly includes the city of Conyers and Rockdale County. As a result of the housing crisis, the number of homeless people, homeless families, and homeless children is rapidly increasing. We have talked about it long enough here in Rockdale County. We've put together a homeless task force that will spend anywhere from 6 to 9 months throughout this region, throughout the state, and even outside the state, looking at other models and what other folks have done, because there's some people all across the country who've gotten this thing right. It's time for Rockdale to do something about it. So this is a step forward and a pivot toward progress as we begin to address homelessness in Rockdale County. So, commissioners, one of the things I want to be very clear about in terms of this task force that we are assembling, there are 5 categories of professional individuals that this task force will be comprised of. Public safety, you got to have them. They're the folks who touch a lot of these individuals first. Educators, mental health, the local clergy, then social services, all of those areas. So I've asked that Mayor Evans and Dr. Oates would think very hard about the people that they are recommending. Each of us are responsible for submitting 5 names, and they have to come from one of those areas of expertise. This is what these folks do on a day-to-day basis. And the county government, nor the city government or the school system, we're not in the business of operating and running homeless shelters. Nonprofits all over the world are doing a fantastic job with this concept. This task force will go out over the next 6 or 9 months and come back with a strong recommendation as to what that looks like for Rockdale County. Not what it looks like for the city of Atlanta, or Dallas, Texas, or Augusta, Georgia, or Savannah, or downtown Snellville. But what does that mean and look like for Rockdale County? How would we take bits and pieces from those other models that have already done it and are doing it right, and then build and structure something for this particular community? And then who will be that nonprofit organization, and how would we as government entities support and engage with them? Because all of this impacts the entire community. Again, I've said for so long that we've talked about it for a long time here in our community as a whole, whether it's in the city or the county. We only have one city in Rockdale County, that's the city of Conyers. So many things that impact the city certainly impact the county as a whole. So we're collaborating and cooperating and communicating together to tackle this issue. And the communicating, as you notice, I mentioned it last, because we've been talking about it long enough. It's time to execute and allow this task force to be empowered to do the work on behalf of this community and come back to us perhaps in 6 or 9 months with the recommendation as to how we address this issue and what does that mean for Rockdale County. I've heard from so many citizens, city council personnel, school board members, parents, business people alike, talking about this growing situation here in our community. And there's a lot of mixed emotions as to how it's to be addressed. I know that government, that's not our business. Our business is to make sure that we protect and take care of this community, and someone has to lead this initiative to get it off the ground. I'm so glad to see this finally come to fruition, and I give a big shout out to, again, Mayor Evans from the city of Conyers and Dr. Terry Oates over at the school system for working collaboratively with us to make sure that we execute and unveil this team. There's going to be an original, a first initial meeting next month of all of those who are going to serve, and then at the beginning of the year, after the holidays are over, this team will go to work and start their 6 or perhaps 9 months adventure to come back with a recommendation as to what this looks like. And Dr. Williams, I have to tell you, when I think about this whole initiative to address homelessness, I can't help but to think about what you've done with stepping up and this whole mental illness piece. That's why we thought long and hard about having a member of public safety, education, social services, the mental health, and the clergy community to work together to figure out what does this mean for Rockdale County.
So I was reading yesterday about the work that Springfield Baptist is doing, and Pastor Lee over there with an emotional wellness and health ministry.
Yes.
And the fact that they're getting funding from DBHDD for that, that's really interesting to me. They've got a 4-week program coming up on Saturdays for 4 hours on Saturday mornings. I think starting this coming Saturday it was. I don't believe there was a cost to it, but really valuable information of how government and the faith community can work together to provide information and education.
Well, the last thing I'll say is it is emotional when you get a call from a citizen. And let me just say, some of these calls now are coming from residents, citizens who live here, who may have a family member, a loved one who is homeless, and they're looking for a place for this person to go that's safe. And when we're not able to point them in a direction, it's just not a good feeling, particularly in a role as a local leader, and you don't have the resources to be able to point a person in the right direction. Or so many of the current resources have already been exhausted, and some of the shelters or centers are at full capacity. And as we're now in the midst of a season change, we're going from the hot heat of the dog days of summer to the crisp cold days of a 45 to 55 day of Georgia winter. And that can be quite brutal on someone who's out in the elements. Commissioner Washington, any comments regarding this homeless task force?
Well, I'm glad to see it coming to fruition. I would like to envelop its finding in the overall housing task force, housing initiative, looking at housing on a strategic level for everybody. And that's all I have to say.
So I had a thought. It's gone out of my head. Give me just a second.
Well, while you're thinking of that, Commissioner, and I appreciate what Commissioner Washington just said about it. Again, my thoughts is it's time for action and it's time to execute. Again, we've talked long enough about it, and one way or the other, whether you're going into Publix or Kroger, or you're going into the local library, or you're just moving around walking through the park, you're coming across someone that's homeless here in Rockdale County. My morning walks out at Parker Road, the Wheeler Pavilion. There are two people on any given day of the week. They're basically camped out there because they're homeless. And one of the things, while you're gathering your thoughts, let me say this. Good. Very good. And I'm going to make sure I don't talk too long so you lose it again.
No, I wrote it down this time.
Oh, good. I like that even better. But here's what I really want to say about the homeless population. Oftentimes, people are so quick to rush to judgment and judge people. I would advise you against that, because a lot of the people who you don't know who may be homeless, some of these people are college-educated folks. Once upon a time, they were corporate professionals or everyday professionals, hard-working parents and folks who, for some reason, came across something that happened in their lives. And if the truth be told, many of us are only a paycheck away from something drastic happening, or we know someone in our families. So oftentimes people, they kind of throw their nose up, or they're judging a little bit. Be very careful with that as you move about the community, pointing the finger, because you never know. It could be your relative, someone you know, or it could be someone that you once knew who pretty much had it together. So I just thought I'd say that. Commissioner Williams.
So at one point, this is not what I was going to say, I've got that, but at one point, my husband and I were homeless, so to speak. We were sheltered. His parents took us in, and we lived with them for 5 months till we could get back on our feet. And you're right, you know, sometimes it's just circumstances. And, you know, so that really we should not judge. So what I was going to tell you was that when people call me, I often will ask the question, is there a mental health issue involved? Sometimes they're offended by that question, but the reason I ask it is because there are some resources for homeless for those with mental health issues, and I can refer them to Viewpoint Health and to Chad Jones, who deals with that, or to Brenda Ernest, who knows how to access those resources. So There is some funding available. They ran out earlier this year, but they have more funding now that has been allocated. But for the people who just, have maybe lost their job, and we don't have anything.
Well, it's good to know that there are some resources available, and I am interested to see as we move into 2024 what the results of the work and the findings of this task force will come back and yield to us in terms of their recommendation and what they think the community should move into.
So they recommending whether we should partner with a homeless shelter, buy land? Like, what is their actual task at hand gonna be?
Well, we don't know, Commissioner, what their recommendation would be just yet, but a part of their task is to look at some of the current models across the region, across the state. As I mentioned earlier, there are folks who have addressed this issue, and they've addressed it in a very quality manner. They've done a good job with addressing it. What that means and what that looks like for Rockdale County could be quite different than what it looks like for the city of Atlanta or some other metropolis. They're going to look at cities and counties that are our size, communities that are our size. They're going to look at different models, whether they're hosted by local churches, church mission, or whether it's by a nonprofit group altogether. Most of what I've done is found out that local governments are not running the facilities or doing the housing, but there's different models in terms of whether they partnering with a facility that is owned by a school, a county, or a city, or whether the school or the county or city is infusing the effort with financial support and that kind of thing, or whether they're leaning totally on grant funds. There are multiple different directions as to how this can be. We will have to see as a result of their work.
So are we gonna have a member of finance on the committee so that whatever the recommendation is, we can automatically map out a financial plan to it, so that it's not just something that we're doing, it's something that we can now lay plans to execute almost immediately, because now we have a financial plan for it, is what my recommendation
And
is.
so housing, those with mental health issues and homeless is a valid use for the opioid funds that will be coming in segments over the next number of years. But I need you to know too that I have a meeting in a couple weeks with Viewpoint Health, several pastors, a foundation, some developers, real estate people, to talk about transitional housing here in Rockdale County. So there are some things going on already, so.
All of this is good, and those dots will certainly be connected over time. The preliminary plan and the roadmap, as you talked about, Commissioner Washington, is actually what I'm saying today. I'm planting the seed that let's get ready. In 6 or 9 months after they start their work, they will come back to us with a comprehensive recommendation in terms of which way we go. At this time, I won't commit any of our staff to this team just yet until they come back with a recommendation. My job at this point is to alert the two of you and make you aware that we're moving from the point of just talking to actually executing, and the first part of the execution is to form this task force, allow them to go out and do what they're going to do, and then come back to us with a recommendation. But to plant the seed to the both of y'all and say, listen, they will be back midpoint of next year, and they will be letting us know what thus says their recommendation. And then it gives us an opportunity to review and decide which way we're going to go. When I say we, here's what I'm talking about. Rockdale County Board of Commissioners, the City Council and the Mayor's Office for the City of Conyers, and the Rockdale County Board of Education and Dr. Oates' office, the Superintendent's office. This is a collaborative, because this is an impact that's community-wide and is not just resting on the shoulders or the burden of the county, or the city, or the school. All of us are impacted by the number of homeless people. So once they complete their work and come back to us, we would know how to move and what that looks like and what it means at that particular time. You're absolutely correct. So the seed has been planted now that this ball is rolling. Absolutely. Executive Director Rutledge, is there any need for, first of all, let me ask, any announcements coming from you or Chief Sanders?
So I don't think we have any announcements for today.
Okay, no
All right.
announcements.
No, we are on schedule.
Okay,
so-
all right, very good.
And no need for executive session today,
Well,
Mr. Chairman.
there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out. Happy Tuesday. This meeting is adjourned.